Hello, I'm Bob Schroyer of Nancy's Knacks. Today I'm going to demonstrate our new heavy-duty ball winder for you. This product has been in development for over a year and we're now ready to launch it in the month of August 2006. In this presentation I will be demonstrating the various features of the unit as well as showing you how it winds yarn balls. So I think you'll get a great idea of exactly how this thing works and you'll feel very comfortable if you decide to make a purchase. You can see that this unit is extremely well built. It's made out of birch and maple hardwoods, and there's quite a bit of steel in there as well. The unit comes with two heavy-duty table clamps. In fact, the final production unit will have 5/16 diameter bolts on the clamps. There are provisions within the base itself to mount one on either side, or you can mount one on the left side or the right side plus one on the front, or you can mount two on either side. It doesn't really matter. The unit doesn't wobble, so it doesn't really require tremendous clamping, but we felt that since it was such a heavy unit and it's got a good size footprint on your table, that by providing two table clamps we ensure that it sits properly on the table. You can also see that this handle is extremely heavy duty. It's got a set screw to connect to the shaft, but the primary way it connects to the shaft is a pin that goes through the steel shaft, and then the handle fits on top of that. So really the pin inside the metal shaft is what's connecting the two pieces together. So there's really no concern over any breakage of that at that point. You can imagine the leverage and force that you're going to typically apply to a handle when you're putting on yarn. By making the handle as large as we did, we provide tremendous leverage, which makes it easier for you, the user, to sit here and wind yarn all day if you so desire. You'll also notice on the handle that it's got a rotating handle itself, so as you're turning it, you're holding firmly onto that, and it's rotating around a mini shaft here, which makes it very comfortable to use. I mean, it's really not hard on your hand at all as you're using the handle. The other thing I'd like to point out is this handle is designed to be removed. When we later come out with a motor drive system, you will take this handle right off and you will mount the motor accessory kit that we provide onto the end of the shaft that goes into the base of the unit here. So it's actually designed to come off. Your motor will sit out here in this area, and so when that day finally comes, you'll know exactly how to do it, and it should work extremely well. The base itself is made up of many layers of maple hardwood. And you can see that it has a very good appearance as a result of using wood. It also makes it extremely solid and was actually easy to work with because it was wood. We were able to shape it to the design that we finally developed. One of the really neat features of this unit is that the arm that guides the yarn into the spindle can rotate, and it can rotate around the unit completely 180 degrees. But it also has, as you can see in this image here, and I'll get closer in a moment, it has multiple holes around the circumference of the base. That allows you to position the yarn guide in 5 different positions. So all that you do when you want to change position of where your yarn is coming from, let's say it's coming from the right of the base on this side, you would leave it in this position. But if it were coming from the rear quarter, you could put it in that position or straight back. Once you find the position you want, you simply put the peg back into the assembly and it locks it in place, so you cannot move it at that point. But that's a very unique feature. It's the only ball winder on the market that has a rotating yarn guide that we know of. All the other ones are fixed. Even on the small plastic one that is so prevalent throughout the industry, that one does have a metal guide that can rotate, but once you rotate it, it sort of loses its tension. We use a friction drive on this unit, which consists of a stationary shaft, a 3/8 inch diameter steel shaft coming up from inside the unit, and around that is a, we call it a torque tube. All the gears inside are ultimately connected to the torque tube, which is what's causing the whole assembly to turn. However, the 3/8 inch steel shaft that runs through all these components is stationary. And there's a rubber tire, it's actually an O-ring, on the circumference of this flange. And as this unit turns, the tire making contact with the shaft causes the flange and the spindle to turn ever so slightly on every rotation. The result of that is this unit will increment every turn slightly. You'll notice where the groove is for the yarn, and as you see, as I rotate the unit, that groove will change position on each rotation. So what that's doing is it's incrementing the yarn so that we'll wrap and construct a well-designed ball. The spindle assembly has a collar on the end of another shaft. There's a 3/8 inch shaft going through this 2-inch hardwood spindle. That can be removed. It's not intended to be removed by the user, but it can be if necessary. We don't know in the future exactly all the applications for this, but we can imagine that there will be other spindles that we can mount on here for various purposes. So that whole spindle assembly can pull out if I loosen up the set screw on the collar. You'll also notice there's 2 screws. These are attaching the entire spindle assembly to the torque tube. You typically would never have to loosen those or tighten those, but if anything does ultimately come loose, you have the ability to retighten the assembly against the torque tube. But we will provide written instructions on what to do and what not to do in that area. This arm actually has steel weights in it. Now, don't get scared when I say steel. We have to provide ballast so that the arm is properly balanced over the center of the shaft. And since there's so much mass on here, you have to provide some mass here to make up the difference in the weight distribution. But once you do that, of course, it results in a very smoothly rotating assembly without any wobble at all. So really all you need to do is when you get the unit is you're going to remove it from the box. You're going to install the 2 table clamps that may be installed on either side or the front, or a combination of the side and the front, whatever your particular situation calls for. The other thing about this assembly is that you could mount this so that it's turned 90 degrees, and your handle would be, to the right of you, and you would be turning the handle so that it's on your right. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that you can really determine exactly how you want to position this on your work surface. You're not constrained to having to mount it in this manner here. Now, I do find by mounting the handle near the front that it's easier for me to turn it. But you could mount it so that it's 90 degrees, turn to the right or turn to the left. It doesn't really matter. It's entirely up to you. Keep in mind, you always have the ability to rotate the yarn guide arm to accept yarn coming from whatever direction you want. Incidentally, this entire assembly is made in North Carolina. It's not made overseas. We do source the wood in the United States. We source the various plastic components used on the clamps here from the U.S. The gears inside are from a Swiss company. We found that those gears are the best for this particular application. But other than that, the entire assembly is from the U.S., and so is all the labor. We're continuing to make modifications right up until the time of the production run. In this area here, the metal yarn guide will probably change a little bit before we launch the first production unit. So if you receive your unit and it looks slightly different than that, then that's the reason. Also, this arm here currently is made of 2 pieces of wood. We're going to try to make that out of 1 piece for more solid construction, even though this construction is properly pinned and splined, and it will never break, at least that we've been able to test so far. we still feel much better that we're made out of one piece of wood, and that's what we're working on right now. So when you receive your unit, it'll more than likely have a one-piece construction in this area. I'm going to do some winding right now, and I'll start out with this very small ball here. It looks like it's fingering weight. Simply wrap the yarn through the guide as you normally would. I usually like to overlap the beginning of the yarn on the spindle. And you try to position the center, simply because the center of axis, it's going to find this point eventually anyway as you start to wind. So if you start it there you get a cleaner winding action throughout the entire ball. And as you normally would, you would simply apply tension by simply letting the yarn run through your hand. And you can go really fast with this yarn if you like. Each time I turn the handle, by the way, the spindle assembly is turning 5 times. It's a 5-to-1 ratio. Now this yarn is a little knotty, I noticed, from having run it through the machine so many times. But you can see the ball starting to form there. You know, notice it's not wobbling on the table at all. The gears do make a little noise, but they're very solid sounding. They're very heavy duty gears. They're probably 10 times stronger than the gears you're used to seeing on ball winders. And certainly should last a lifetime. As you can see, the ball is getting properly structured there. I'll zoom in and see if we can look at that. And you can see the incrementation, which is the manner in which it wraps. And that's a function of the rotation of the spindle every time we turn the crank. So that'll continue to wrap as it normally would, as you are already familiar with. Well, I finished it off while you were not looking there, just so that I could finish that little ball. And I'll show you how easy it is to get off now. Simply remove your yarn from there and it slides right off. There's no problem in removing the balls of yarn from this unit. As you can see, it's nicely constructed. I won't make you watch the entire winding process, because it will take a little while to do this. And I'm not going at super high speed here, I'm just going at normal speed. So far you can see how the ball is forming. I'm about, I don't know, third or quarter of the way down. You can see how the ball is forming up now. Going a little bit faster now, as you can see. You can see how the ball is growing at this point. The yarn's got some small knots of things in it, which you can feel at some point going through your hand, of course. Okay, the ball's finished, and we'll remove it, and we'll weigh it. See how easy the ball comes off? Okay, that's the ball that's, 7 1/8. It's not the larger ball. But I think you can see that, you know, it made this ball. This ball I think is 11 3/4 ounces. It still can make easily up to a pound, no problem. I just don't have a pound here right now to demonstrate, but I think you can see from the way that ball is constructed that it's very well made. It's probably the best looking ball that you can make, a large ball like this, on any of the machines we've tested. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this short video. We've tried to represent the product to the best of our ability at this point. You can see that it exists, it works, and I think you'll be very pleased with it. We truly believe that this will be the ball winder of choice for anyone choosing to make large yarn balls, or anyone in a shop situation or commercial application. And the other thing that this unit will provide is the ability to upgrade to a motor version. I mean, you really can't find that capability anywhere else that we're aware of. Usually motorized versions are completely different than manual versions. In this one tool, you're going to be able to do that probably within 6 months from now. So probably the early part of 2007, we will introduce that option. And I'm sure it will cost a few dollars, but on the other hand, you will have a unit that will power through any amount of work that you're going to want to do without failing. The gears will not grind on this unit, and the weight will not interfere with the ability to wind a ball, regardless of how big it is. As long as it's not touching the yarn guide arm, you know, this portion here, you'll be able to make any size ball without any significant drag on the system, because the system is so powerful with this handle, the strong gears that we provide, and the entire design is just well designed. It was designed by a mechanical engineer, and I can assure you that it's going to work for many, many years to come. So hopefully you're comfortable with this product presentation. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to call us or send us an email, or check into our website where we have a form. You can ask questions there of us on any of these topics, and we'd be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.